Yankees baseball on My 9.
Well, the Yankees finished a long day at the ballpark with some congratulations as they picked up an extra inning victory. They're still in St. Louis for the second game of this three-game set. Fans filing into Busch Stadium, and it is time for baseball as My 9 presents New York Yankees baseball. It's the New York Yankees against the St. Louis Cardinals in the second game of a three-game set from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball along with Ken Singleton. I'm Michael Kay. Nice victory for the Yankees yesterday, and they did it by the textbook. They got good pitching, they've got good defense, and they got clutch hitting.
Clutch hitting and also some solid work out of the bullpen yesterday. The bullpen had to go 7 innings. First pitcher out of the pen, following Chase Whitley's 5 innings, was Preston Claiborne. He got the job done, kept the Cardinals off the scoreboard. He was followed by left-hander Matt Thornton. Once again, the Cardinals were unable to score as Thornton got the job done. And he would pass the baton to Dellin Betances. That usually means strikeouts. And he struck out a couple of Cardinals. And once again, the Cardinals were not able to score against the Yankee bullpen. Alfredo Aceves was next. And he got the job done as well. Got some good defensive help. Brendan Ryan starts his double play. Derek Jeter on the rundown will get the Yankees out of trouble as he tags the runner out. Aceves was still in there the next inning. And he thought the game might be over. Yadier Molina with a long shot to left. But Brett Gardner with a great play up against the wall of Molina. Well, no game-ending home run. The Yankees had the lead when David Robertson came in, and he picks up the save as the Yankees come on with a hard-earned 12-inning, 6-4 victory over the St. Louis Cardinals.
Check this out. The Yankees are 4-1 in extra inning games this season, 3-0 in extra inning games on this road trip. And one of the reasons why, and you need this in extra inning games, the bullpen has been outstanding. Last 11 games, 1.94. So this didn't look like it was going to be a great road trip, but the Yankees have won their last 3 in a row. So how do you make it 4 in a row? Well, we have to check out the pitching matchup to tell you that. The pitching matchup brought to you by McDonald's. This summer at McDonald's, come in for the kid-approved $2.99 Happy Meal. Offer only in participating McDonald's. David Phelps will get the start for the Yankees. We'll talk about him in a moment. Lance Lynn for the Cardinals. Kenny 5-2, 3.60.
Yeah, he's a tough pitcher. I saw him pitch a game last week, and he was excellent. Got great stuff, good fastball, good slider. One of the hardest throwing pitchers on the Cardinals staff. Well, they all throw pretty hard. In fact, he's got 38 wins since the start of the 2012 season, second most in the National League. Only his teammate Adam Wainwright has more, and he's 20-8 in this ballpark. He's very tough at home.
And he's got to face David Phelps. He grew up 15 minutes from this ballpark, so he's got family and friends here. He's facing his boyhood team. We'll hear from him and Merit Marakovich when we return right here on My 9.
Meredith Morakovitz coming to you from outside beautiful Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis. When the Yankees take the field for Game 2 of the three-game series against the Cardinals, it'll be a homecoming of sorts for pitcher David Phelps. He grew up rooting for the Cardinals. He was born right here in St. Louis, and he actually went to high school less than 20 minutes away from the old Busch Stadium. So I asked him the other day what it's going to be like to step on the field to take on a team he used to root for.
I mean, I think the coolest thing about it is just, playing in this ballpark with my family in the stands. I mean, growing up, you play in the backyard, you think about, playing for the Cardinals in Busch Stadium, and it's just really exciting to be back, and just for my family, just, being able to see me play out here, it's really big for me, and it's also really big for them.
You're going to have a lot of people in the stands?
Yeah, I think 25 or so people.
How much more pressure does that put on you, knowing all they are here to watch you?
I mean, it's a little bit more just because, I don't want to let them down, but at the same time, we play in front of 40,000 a night, so, what's 25 more?
Well, you look at your last start, pitched very well, went 7 innings. How do you build off of that, or how do you continue that success?
I mean, I just have to continue to do what I was doing the other night. I was getting ahead of guys throwing strikes, and I was throwing all my pitches for strikes. That was something in a couple of the starts where I struggled a little bit. I wasn't getting my breaking ball over for strikes, and I wasn't trusting all my other pitches, so it's one of those things that, we did a great job the other night of using everything, and you got to go out, and just throw all my pitches for strikes in any count.
Joe Girardi would love to see David Phelps pound the strike zone, get some quick outs, and give them some distance tonight after the 12-inning affair yesterday. The bullpen a little short. They won't have Dylan Betances. Joe Girardi said he would check on a bunch of other guys, so time will tell who they will have available. That'll do it from St. Louis for now. You'll hear from Jack Curry and Ryan Ruocco in the studio after the break.
Toyota. The Toyota Time Sales event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By Cadillac. Visit your Tri-State Cadillac dealer or CadillacTristate.com to learn more about our attractive lease or finance offers. And by Six Flags Great Adventure. Save big on Six Flags Great Adventure tickets at SixFlags.com. All right, big crowd here at Busch Stadium. The Cardinals have taken the field. Lance Lynn about to begin his warm-up, so that means we'll tell you the New York Yankees starting lineup, which is brought to you by Hyundai. The countdown to savings is on now at Hyundai's Memorial Day sales event. Visit buyhyundai.com today. Brett Gardner's in left field. He'll lead off. The captain, the shortstop, Derek Jeter bats second. Batting third, playing center field, Jacoby Ellsbury. Brian McCann will catch. He's going to clean up. Batting fifth, playing third base, Yangervis Solarte. Alfonso Soriano's in right field today. He'll bat sixth. Batting seventh and playing second base, Brian Roberts. Kelly Johnson at first base again will bat eighth. And batting ninth, no DH in the National League Park, is the pitcher, David Phelps.
Now making his first ever start against the New York Yankees, 27-year-old right-hander Lance Lynn. And he comes in with some very good numbers. This will be his 11th start of the year. 5-2, 3.60, 59 hits in 60 innings, 59 strikeouts. Let's take a look at the St. Louis Cardinals pitcher scouting report, brought to you by your local Acura dealer. Give me a break. Well, the previous two seasons, he had 11 wins last year before the All-Star break. The year before that, he had 11 wins before the All-Star break. Those 22 wins are the most wins by any pitcher in the major leagues prior to the All-Star break the last 2 years. He's also the all-time strikeout leader in the season and the all-time career leader in strikeouts at the University of Mississippi, and it runs in the family. His wife, Lauren, an All-American softball player at the University of Mississippi.
Let's take a look at the defense that's behind Lance Lynn. In the outfield, it's Holiday, Jay, and Craig left to right. Infield, third to first, we go Carpenter, Peralta, Wong, and Adams. The great Yadier Molina behind the plate, and Michael Lance Lynn is on the mound. Yankees 27-23, and the Cardinals are 28-23. Gardner could have been a game-saving catch. To this point, no one knows if that ball would have gone out or not off the bat of Yadier Molina, but it would have been an extra base hit for sure. Gardner's ready. Lynn is ready. Let's do it here in St. Louis, and the first pitch is a strike. We're underway. Gabe Morales is the home plate umpire. Larry Van over at first, Angel Hernandez at second, Adrian Johnson is over at third.
You saw the 288 batting average, but the last 27 games for Gardner, he's hitting 320. So that's about a month's worth of baseball. He's been over a 300 hitter.
Missed inside. Count 2-1. Yankees won the final two games against the White Sox, and then the first game of this series against the Cardinals. So 3 in a row for the Bombers. Lance Lynn kind of stays there in his follow-through, thinking that was a strike, but it's not. 3-1.
Sometimes when you come to the new ballpark, Michael, to follow the count, you have to look and find the scoreboard again. It's up there in right center. 3 balls and a strike.
Fouled away. Tonight's closed captioning is brought to you by your local Lexus dealer. So the count is full on the first batter of the game. Yankees and the Cardinals, two of baseball's iconic franchises, have not played that much in interleague. The only time the Yankees were here in St. Louis was 2005. That was at the old Busch Stadium. And the Cardinals were in New York just once. So this is the Yankees' first look at this new ballpark. The 3-2. Chopped slowly toward first. Fielded by Adams, who tags Gardner on the way by for the first out.
You know, sometimes I feel that the reason why teams like the Cardinals and the Yankees do not meet very often, the same thing could be said for the Yankees and the Dodgers, because these teams draw well at home on their own. It doesn't matter, you know, who you're going to bring into the ballpark. So you have these matchups with these two. The Cardinals average over 43,000 a game, and the Yankees at Yankee Stadium currently 42.
And a lot of those fans now standing for Derek Jeter, and Molina went out to the mound to give them a chance to stand up longer for Derek Jeter, and then he tapped Derek Jeter on the way by as if to say that was for you. Pitch outside.
Yeah, when Derek came onto the field for the first time as the Yankees were coming out for batting practice, he got an ovation as well. This is going to be a summer and into the fall long thing.
Soft ground ball to short. Peralta. 2 outs. New York Yankees baseball broadcast in Spanish. It's available by hitting the SAP button on your remote. SAP is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Here's Jacoby Ellsbury. Stay away from Jacoby Ellsbury in extra innings. He has reached base in 7 of his 8 extra inning plate appearances this season. An .875 on base percentage.
Well, in a way, I hope we don't find that out again if he can keep that streak going tonight. But it was his walk and a steal that got it going yesterday.
He's reached in his last 7 extra inning appearances. Intentional walk, single, intentional walk, single, single, home run, and a walk. That one is grounded softly to short. Peralta just gets the hustling Ellsbury for the final out of a 1-2-3 inning. So the Yankees go down in order. It's the Yankees nothing and the Cardinals coming to bat. Against his boyhood team, the St. Louis Cardinals. Let's see the Cardinals starting lineup that he's going to face. It's brought to you by Six Flags Great Adventure. Save big on Six Flags Great Adventure tickets at sixflags.com. Matt Carpenter, the third baseman, leads off. Batting second and playing second, Colton Wong. Matt Holloway's in left field will bat third. Cleaning up first baseman Matt Adams. Yadier Molina will catch, he'll bat fifth. Batting sixth, playing right field, Alan Craig. Johnny Peralta, the shortstop, will bat seventh. Batting eighth and playing center field, John Jay. And Lance Lynn is going to pitch, and he'll bat ninth.
Well, as Michael mentioned, Missouri native David Phelps on the mound for the Yankees tonight. His first ever start against the St. Louis Cardinals. He's got pretty good numbers going. He's worked both as a starter and now the bullpen for the Yankees. 1-1, 3.18. Less than a hit per inning and 33 strikeouts. Let's check out our pitcher scouting report. Brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealers. Nighttime is the right time for a lot of things, but for David Phelps, it's pitching. He's been excellent at night. A 2.21 ERA at night. And opponents are hitting just .205 against him. His last 19 starts for the Yankees have fared pretty well. They are 12-7 in his 19 starts. In 2005, while he was a senior at Hazelwood West High School, not far from here, he was voted by Baseball America as the top prospect in Missouri. That's before he went off to the University of Notre Dame to pitch in college.
A group of about 30 of Phelps' family and friends. And there's mom and dad, Alan and Sandy. watching their son pitch against the hometown team. And he told them, I get you tickets, you root for us the entire game. Matt Carpenter takes up and away, 1-0. Now, Phelps said that he grew up about 20 minutes from the old Busch Stadium, which means it's about 20 minutes and 10 seconds to the new Busch Stadium, because it's right across the street.
It was.
He said he would probably see about 5 games a year. Watch his Cardinals play. And a strike.
He's got a hot hitter in the plate at Matt Carpenter. He's got an 8-game hitting streak.
Skied the other way and out of play.
Carpenter's also a very patient hitter. He leads all National League leadoff hitters in base on balls with 29. So he usually runs deep counts. That's what's something you want out of a leadoff hitter. You see that time and time again from either Jacoby Ellsbury or certainly Brett Gardner.
So the count goes full on the Cardinals leadoff hitter. Same thing as with Gardner in the top of the first. Skied the other way. Gardner runs out of room as it makes the seats.
Carpenter got the Cardinals started yesterday with a triple over the right field, off the right field wall.
Derek Jeter keeps checking in the stands. I don't know if somebody got hit with that baseball, but as he's going back to his position, he keeps looking over his shoulder. That young man did get hit. Hope he's okay. Wow. 3-2. Grounded foul. Driven to center field. Ellsbury on the run. Going back. That ball is caught. Oh, what a play by Ellsbury. He took an extra base hit away from Carpenter. That's about as good a catch as you're going to see.
Well, we mentioned yesterday Carpenter got it started for the Cardinals with a triple, and today it looked like he had a sure extra base hit. You can see Jacoby Ellsbury. It's all in the jump, folks, plus the speed. Excellent jump, great speed. Over the shoulder catch, and there's one out. What a way to start a ball game defensively. Jacoby Ellsbury, you can see why he's been a Gold Glove winner in the past, and defensive support is always appreciated by the pitchers.
Wong fouls it back. Obviously, our perch here is elevated above the field, and from this vantage point, it didn't look like he had a chance.
No, it didn't.
So much ground to cover, and then that lunge just at the end, and the ball stuck right in the pocket.
Well, he saw a great catch from Gardner yesterday, but I think this one was a little bit more difficult.
I agree.
Yeah.
Gardner said that wasn't a hard catch. He said it was right over my head. I went back to the wall. He said he should have caught the other ball earlier in the game that went for a double, and that was the one that Holiday hit. He said he misjudged that. He was beating himself up over that one and not congratulating himself over the catch off the Molina drive. That one is looped to Jeter. 2 outs. Let's judge the catches, Kenny.
Let's judge him, okay? What are you going to give this one, Michael? 1 to 10, 10 being the best.
I say that's an 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5. Gardner, you know, it's tough to say whether it had been out or not. It certainly might have hit the top of the wall and gone over. Molina thought he had a game-winning homer, but Brett Gardner had different ideas. When I look at it from that angle, I think it's gone.
All right, so I gave it an 8.5. What do you give Ellsbury's? 9.5?
Well, what is the perfect catch?
10. Well, Willie Mays.
World Series catch.
Yes.
All right. So you got to give him a 9.5 on this.
Maybe Ron Swoboda's catch in the '69 series.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Pretty good. I think the perfect catch is one that they're going to have to show highlights of for years to come, and certainly Willie Mays' catch, that was in the 1954 World Series. That was before color television.
Also, you have to look at degree of difficulty and end port of game. So obviously Mays hit both of those.
Yeah. Matt Holliday at the plate. He's coming up on a milestone for his career. 7 more runs batted in, and he's got 1,000 runs batted in. A few years back with the Colorado Rockies, he was the National League batting champion.
Turned him loose on 3-0.
They were thinking 1 run. And I think one reason they turned him loose, he's got great power. He's hit the longest home run in the history of this ballpark. The short history of this ballpark. A 469-footer. And he hit it over the bleachers in left center field with a swing like that one. When I look out there, Mike, that's a long way to hit a baseball.
So it landed like right in front of the rooftop structure?
Yeah, exactly. It bounded out there in Ballpark Village over the bleachers.
Two missed outside, so Matt Holliday walks with 2 outs. All right, now I want you to rate this catch, Kenny.
Well, it's a World Series. Big words. The Giants were the underdogs. They swept the Cleveland Indians in 4, and this is the catch that everybody remembers as being the greatest because it was a World Series catch. There were men on base too, and not only did he catch it, it was a double play. Made a double play, and the bleachers at the Polo Grounds were 480 feet away.
Oh, we got to give it a 10.
Yeah, that's a 10.
Here's Matt Adams, and there's a strike. Easy to dance to. Got to have it done.
Good beat.
Yep.
Yeah, good beat.
3 infielders on the right side. Jeter remains on the left side for the lefty swinging Adams.
Yeah, I would say a 4-game sweep in the series. That's a good beat.
Count 0-2 on Adams.
Adams is the let's get back to the 4-game. Adams is the National League leader in multi-hit games with 21. He's a good hitter. He had 2 hits here yesterday.
The 0-2. He's got a hit right here again. Soriano cuts it off. Moving to third is Holliday. Throw comes into Roberts. A single for Adams. That extends his hitting streak to 5 straight. And the Cardinals have runners on the corners with 2 outs.
Adams primarily does his damage against right-handed pitching. He's hitting over 370 against right-handers. Man, look at him reach out and pull that ball to the right side. And he hit it hard enough, he was able to get it through the shift. Here's Holliday headed for third. The Cardinals first and third with 2 down. You know, Michael, look at Yadier Molina, and you think of how the Yankees have been blessed all these years. I mean, decades of solid catchers, good offensive catchers, going back to Bill Dickey, Yogi Berra, Elston Howard, Thurman Munson, Jorge Posada, and Yadier Molina might be the best of all the Cardinal catchers that they've had.
They combines everything. The defense, the game calling, which is part of the defense, and he's really turned himself into an outstanding hitter. There's Tim McCarver, pretty good catcher in his own right.
Back when McCarver was with the Cardinals, he used to lead off he was a leadoff hitter at certain times.
Outside.
Well, the Cardinals are pushing the pitch count. It's up to 25 here in the first inning. And we talked about how durable Molina has been and how many games he's played in. We mentioned yesterday he'd only missed 6 games this year. He's reached safely in 40 of the 45 games that he's played in.
You see catchers, they never play day games after night games.
No.
This guy does. This guy never comes out of the lineup. And one of the toughest things for a National League manager is when your catcher is one of your better hitters. And I know it affected the Mets when they had Mike Piazza. There's no place to put him. There's no DH spot.
Yeah.
And you can't have him crouch behind the plate every single day, but Molina seems to be able to do that. 3-2, so the runner's going to go from first. Grounded to short. Cheater's right there. And he'll get Molina for the final out of the first. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 2 men left on base. Mom and Dad breathe a sigh of relief as we go to the second. Innings get full clubhouse reaction and analysis. Then tomorrow night, catch the series finale here in St. Louis with pregame coverage starting at 7 and first pitch scheduled for shortly after 8, only on Yes. Cardinals against the Yankees, game 2 of a 3-game set. Interleague matchup, and Brian McCann steps in against Lance Lynn. McCann hitting .216. And he has 9 hits in his last 40 at-bats, but he kind of started this Yankee 3-game winning streak with that big pinch hit RBI single that tied the game at 3 on Saturday.
You get the feeling now he's rolling around at 216, and first career he's a better hitter than that. His power numbers are good. I mean, the 7 home runs. He's hit 20 6 years in a row. So he's on pace to get the homers. It's just that he's due for a hot streak to mix in some singles and doubles.
What's the date there? The 28th? Yeah, they've got tomorrow's base hit.
So you think that's a stolen base?
I see what you did there.
I didn't get many of them, so I was just wondering. I'm asking you.
First base also the 28th.
I think these bases are going to be in play tomorrow too.
The 1-2. McCann spread stance slightly open. And that one is drilled to center field. John Jay back, still back, and he can't make the play. It's over his head, and the ball rolls to the wall. McCann with a leadoff double here in the second.
Well, we said he's due for a hot streak, mixing in some singles and doubles. That's his 4th double of the year, and this was scorched over the head of John Jay in center. Solid line drive. Jay gets a decent jump, but can't corral it. A 2-base hit to get things going here in the second. There's the reach, and unlike Ellsbury, he comes up short.
Now, if you want to win a bar bet right here, last 26 at bats, Yanhervis Solarte has taken the first pitch, which is kind of rare for a rookie. Let's see if he does it again. No, right back to Lynn. So he breaks that streak. 1 away, but he doesn't get the job done moving McCann to third.
Yeah, I think that's what he was thinking. He was trying to hit something to the right side, and he couldn't get it. It was like a sinking fastball. He hit it off the end of the bat right back to the pitcher. A little too anxious. Target's away, and it's a 2-seamer. You can see the pitch moving away, and he just hits it into the dirt. So the streak's over.
Streak is over.
Yesterday, Ichiro got to start in right field and had a pretty good day. He was walked intentionally in the Yankees winning rally, and you wanted Russ Soriano in there tonight because there's no DH. Well, Soriano's got good numbers against Lance Lynn. He's hit him well.
These are the numbers that Kenny's talking about. 8 for 22 with a home run.
Sometimes the numbers will get you into the lineup, and sometimes they will get you out.
Now everybody has access to these numbers now. I mean, everybody, even fans.
Yeah.
But it kind of started with Earl Weaver of the Orioles, who used to keep his own numbers on index cards, and that's how he would set matchups.
You knew that?
Yeah. Tap slowly back to Lynn. Gets Soriano for the second out. McCann remains at second.
And to show you that I understand what you're talking about, as you watch Lance Lynn turn around, make the play, 360, and he's going to throw out Soriano. One day we were playing Minnesota Twins, Michael. I walked into Earl's office. He wasn't in the office. We were facing Jeff Zahn. I just wanted to see how I did against him. And he had him on index cards. And I think I was 333 with a home run. Not bad.
Right.
Well, I was going to play anyway. But when I looked at the rest of the guys on the printed out sheet, I was the low man on the team. We had guys hitting 500, 600 against them. So we scored like 7 runs in an inning and 2/3. And if Zahn was walking out of the game, Earl said the man never had a chance. Which was true.
It was in the cards.
Yeah. I thought I was doing pretty well. I looked, geez, I'm the only guy who's going to make outs today.
Poor Jeff Zahn.
Yeah.
The 0-1. 0-2. See the stat that we got today? Brian Roberts yesterday lifted his career average with the bases loaded to 363. The 7th highest bases loaded average among the 55 active players with at least 100 at bats in those situations. But he's only 3rd best on the Yankees. Ichiro's at 386, Teixeira at 370.
And I think when you look at bases loaded averages for hitters, they're definitely higher than their regular averages. And it's because the pitcher is somewhat he's got to throw strikes. He's painted himself into the ultimate corner. He has no place to put the hitter. So just about every hitter is better with the bases loaded. But not as good as 363.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Well, you long ago drilled it into my head that the pitcher's in trouble. The hitter shouldn't think that he's in trouble.
Yeah, some hitters have they have a tendency, particularly the younger hitters, to put pressure on themselves when they come up in those situations. The veterans say, well, I'm not the one in trouble. It's the guy out there.
And that one is looped towards second. Wong bats up. Fields fires. And the scoop by Adams. Did he keep his foot on the bag? Yes, he did. And Mick Keller is saying, I don't think so. And Joe Girardi will take that slow walk out to talk with first base umpire Larry Vanover. Let's see.
We get another look, and it appears he's made the catch and his foot was on the bag. So Roberts is out. Here it is again. Ball in glove. Foot
on bag.
Foot on bag. That's an out. And Joe, I don't think he's going to challenge this one. Just a nice little visit with the first base umpire Larry Vanover.
That was some play by Adams at first base. So for the Yankees, no runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left. There'll be no challenge of that call as we go to the bottom of the 2nd inning. The Yankees and the Cardinals, 0-0, and a great play by Adams to keep his foot on the bag. Yankees and the Cardinals. And as we move along in this inning, we'll give you the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering. Also in this inning, we bring in our colleague, Meredith Morakovitz, who has a lot of information she has to disseminate, right?
It's a shame, Michael. There are so many injuries again this year. I thought we were over this last year.
But you have some good news. You bear good news today.
There is some encouraging news, and I'll start with that, and it's Michael Pineda through 2 innings of an extended spring game today. 28 pitches, 20 of which were strikes, and the biggest thing about that outing, he didn't feel anything in that shoulder. The muscle was fine, so the next step for him will be to throw again on Sunday. And Joe Girardi said they'd like for his pitch count to get to 50 to 60 pitches in that, so extending him quite a bit. And after that, as long as he's feeling healthy, they'll go from there. So a rehab start could be on the horizon for Michael Pineda.
Alan Craig at the plate right now took a pitch out of the zone, 1-0. Craig, the right fielder, the number 6 hitter in the lineup. Now playing first base for the Yankees tonight is Kelly Johnson, so that begs the question, Mark Teixeira feeling any better?
He is feeling a little bit better, but he said earlier today in the clubhouse not quite where he needs to be yet. And if you look at the Yankees schedule, they have a game tomorrow, then an off day on Thursday. You wonder whether or not Joe Girardi is going to give him tomorrow off. That would give him 4 consecutive days off, including the off day, where he'd be able to rest that wrist. Now, Mark Teixeira said he did talk to his doctor, Keith Raskin, who did the surgery on that wrist twice today. Not once, but twice. And he said this is 100% normal. They believe that this is just something that a year removed from the surgery that he's going to have to deal with, and he might just need a little bit of a rest here and there. He probably will see the doctor when he gets back to New York. That's not scheduled yet, but Mark Teixeira said he believes that's the direction he's going to do, at which point in time they'll do an ultrasound of that wrist just to make sure, 100% sure, that there isn't anything else going on in there.
As Craig swings and misses for the first out. He also had played a long stretch of games, and I think he's regretting that, but you know, he'd been hitting so well and been the Yankees' best home run hitter.
Well, Michael, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, because when you're going well, you don't really want to come out of the game. He doesn't want to walk up to Mark Teixeira or to Joe Girardi and say, take me out of this game, I need a day off. So that was part of it.
Yeah, plus the fact with Carlos Beltran out of the lineup, you just about had to have Teixeira in there.
Well, Kenny, you mentioned that point, and I asked Joe Girardi, due to the fact that Carlos Beltran is out, you lost a big switch hitter there. Mark Teixeira, another big switch hitter in the middle of your lineup. Are you a little bit more careful with him? And he said maybe we will be a little bit.
Johnny Peralta lines a single in the center field, a 1-out single. So let's ask about Beltran. Yesterday with a fungo bat, how did it go today?
Well, when Joe Girardi was asked about it, he had a huge smile on his face and said, we're extremely encouraged right now. So that's a good sign. He took swings again, but now with a normal bat. So he'll progress now to some tee and toss work on Thursday. He will have tomorrow off, so Thursday will be the next day that Carlos Beltran will be doing stuff. But, you know, I caution you, the Yankees, of course, a little bit encouraged here, but cautiously optimistic still, knowing that they're really not going to have a great idea of what Carlos Beltran is dealing with, or if he's still going to feel stuff in that elbow until he gets in a game and starts taking some real swings.
Is it just me, or does tee and toss sound very British?
I think it might just be you.
Okay.
Well, you know, if you throw crumpets in there, I can see what you're saying, Michael.
John Jay at the plate, count 1-0, runner on first with 1 out. Swing and a miss. How about Sean Kelly?
He played catch at 100 feet today, so he is also progressing. The big thing with him was after he threw the first time, whether or not he'd feel anything in that back, and he didn't. So he'll continue to play catch, then move to some flat ground, and eventually get on a mound. Not a real schedule set up for him, but the Yankees encourage that they're going to get him back sooner rather than later.
Any other injury that we missed?
Are you okay?
I'm fine. How's your ankle? You broke it over the winter.
It's okay. Day to day still.
Really? Don't play that many games in a row.
Well, that's what it is. I feel like I'm in a stretch here where we've played a lot in a row, so I might have to take a couple days off.
Gotcha. Right back up the middle, and it hits Phelps. Caroms out to Solarte, and he throws to first to get the out. Let's see if Phelps is okay.
You know, as I'm looking at him, he rushed over to third to cover the bag, so it looks like initially he's okay, and they're going to check on him. And he's telling Stevie Donahue, the Yankee head athletic trainer, the ball hit him in his shoe, the bottom of the shoe, so he's all right. Well, pitchers do not have much time to react. He's got a smile on his face. You know that ball's coming out of the game. It's probably got shoe polish all over it. Here's another look. John Jay hit the ball well here yesterday. Yep, right off the heel of the shoe. That was around the ankle, Meredith. Did you feel anything? Solarte with a nice play to back him up. And when you watch the remainder of this play, ball hits him. He sees Solarte going to make the play, and then he rushes over to third, which tells you that he's okay.
Now Lance Lynn comes up with a runner on second. We thank Meredith, and we'll hear from her later.
Here's the reaction. Now watch. Well, I got to cover third base. So that tells you he's fine.
A well struck ball by John Jay, but Phelps' foot got in the way. The 1-0. 2-0 to Lance Lynn.
Michael, Lance Lynn's batting average is .056. He's hitting .056. Question to you: where do you think a pitcher's batting average starts? It tells you that he's a pretty good hitter.
200.
200. Okay.
Yeah,
All
how
right.
about you?
Yeah, that's pretty much so.
So a pitcher is aiming for the Mendoza line.
Yeah, but that's good.
Right.
And if you can stick a couple extra base hits in there, that's even better.
And an everyday player with a 200 batting average will not be an everyday player.
No, he'll be maybe the AAA.
So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, runner at second. We're in the bottom of the second. And Lynn swings and misses. So the second strikeout of the inning for Phelps. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We're going to the third in St. Louis. Yankees and the Cardinals, 0-0. We go back to May 27th of 1933. Trailing the White Sox 11-3 in the bottom of the 8th. The Yankees score 12 runs and go on to win the game 15-11. Whoa, now that's a rally.
It's a bad bullpen.
Right here, it's 0-0 as we go to the third. Now between innings, they got rid of those bases from tomorrow, so they go back to the future. And they actually put in the bases that are supposed to be there today, May 27th. So everything is right now. Kelly Johnson will lead off against Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn has gotten the Yankees on 6 ground balls, which is not the type of pitcher that he is. He usually gets 45% of his outs on ground balls. The scoreboard is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. Internet, TV, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. 1-855-WANT-TWC. Johnson with truncated playing time, hitting .202. He's 4 for his last 26.
He was out here early today taking a lot of ground balls over at first base.
High fly ball, left side. And that's in the seats and out of play. And a Jeter fan with the play. And never drop the beer. The Yankees and the Cardinals, we mentioned earlier, two iconic franchises in Major League Baseball. The Yankees have 27 World Championships and 40 pennants. The Cardinals are second with 11 World Championships, and they're tied with the Giants for second most pennants with 19.
They keep going. They have to build a bigger scoreboard out there.
All time, 27 Yankees, 11 Cardinals, 9 for the A's in their different cities. Red Sox 8, Giants 7. Ground ball to Juan. And the Yankees and the Cardinals have played 5 times in the World Series. The Cardinals have won 3 of them, 1926, 1942, and most recently in 1964, while the Yankees have won against the Cardinals in 1928 and 1943. David Phelps gets in there. And the crowd, not respecting his Missouri roots, do not give him a big ovation. They don't give him an ovation at all.
Well, they didn't put anything on the scoreboard to say he was from Missouri.
It was in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch today. They have to read.
Yeah, it was.
We should also make note when we're talking about championships. The Yankee who has the most rings, 10, Yogi Berra, is from St. Louis, from the Hill. We know he's watching this game. He actually grew up across the street from Joe Garagiola, his good buddy. How's that for something for the neighborhood to be proud of, Kenny?
Yeah, 2 ball players, 2 Major League Baseball players from across the street from each other.
Phelps down on strikes, 2 away. Back to the top of the lineup, and Brett Gardner. Phelps said he wanted to get a hit today because Tanaka and Whitley are bragging a lot because they've gotten hits as Yankee pitchers so far in interleague play. But he did say, I hope I'm bunting today.
If I'm Whitley, I'm really bragging. He got a hit in his first at bat, didn't he? Yeah. There's that slider from Lynn. It's a good one. Sharp break, late break.
The 0-2. Missed outside with the fastball.
We mentioned yesterday the Cardinals very rarely miss on #1 picks. Michael Wacha was the #1 pick yesterday. Lance Lynn's a #1 pick, although he was a supplemental pick because the Cardinals had lost a free agent. So they got another pick in the first round. They picked Lance Lynn out of University of Mississippi.
Strike 3. Gardner down looking. Second strikeout for Lance Lynn as the Yankees go down in order. Last 6 in a row have gone down against Lynn. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. 0-0. Yankees take on the Twins and enjoy a Yankee Stadium tradition. It's Bat Day. The first 10,000 guests 14 and younger are going to receive a Jacoby Ellsbury replica bat courtesy of Bank of America. Now for tickets, log on to Yankees.com, visit the Yankee Stadium ticket window, Yankees clubhouse shops, or call Ticketmaster at 877-469-9849. She is conflicted. Cardinal jersey, Yankee hat. Right now, it's 0-0. As we go to the bottom of the third inning on the scoreboard, brought to us by Time Warner Cable. Matt Carpenter takes a strike. Carpenter hit a blistering drive over the head of Ellsbury in the first inning, and somehow Ellsbury hauled it in for the first out of the bottom of the first, taking an extra base hit away from Carpenter. Yankees actually play Carpenter fairly shallow.
Yeah, it's interesting you mention that because they play him the pull on the infield. They feel anything he's going to hit on the ground is going to be to the right side. But the outfielders are just about straight up. Straight away.
And he hits it right through the shortstop hole for a base hit.
You know, that's one reason why I'd be more reluctant to go to the shift on a hitter that's leading off an inning, because he's not up there. There's nobody on base for him to drive in. And he wants to get an inning started. You got a leadoff hitter who's adept at hitting the ball all over the field. And he just calmly hit a ground ball to short.
And I would also watch out for doing that against guys that aren't power hitters.
Yeah.
He has one home run. So what would be a big deal for him to just hit the ball the other way for a single? And as Kenny said, leading off the inning. But I think these are things that are going to be worked out as they get more comfortable with these shifts. So here's Colton Wong as Carpenter leads off first. Held there by Johnson. Wong shows bunt and takes low.
He's looking down at Jose Akendo, the third base coach. 15th year as the third base coach for the St. Louis Cardinals.
And a bunt. Beautiful play by Phelps. First out. Quick, cat-like off the mound, and he hauled it in.
Yeah, once you release the ball, you become another infielder. And nice athletic play by David Phelps as he bounds off the mound to make the catch. Wong trying to get the bunt down, cannot do it, pops it up, and there's one out.
Pitch count at 46 right now, one out into the third. Matt Holliday wraps one into left center field. It's a base hit. Cutting it off in the gap is Ellsbury. Holds Holliday to a single as Carpenter goes to third.
Well, you got two hitters on the Cardinals, and Carpenter and Holliday are seeming to warm up. As the weather's getting warmer, they're starting to swing the bat better. That was a little bit off the end of the bat. You see the high leg kick, if it gets the foot down quickly and drills it into left center field.
Matt Adams, single to right center field. That was in the first inning. Three infielders on the right side for the lefty swinging Adams. And that one is drilled to right center field. Long run for Ellsbury. He can't get there. It's over the wall for a double. So Holliday will go to third. RBI double for Matt Adams. Carpenter scores. It's 1-0 Cardinals.
Well, his first 2 at-bats, Matt Adams has increased his lead as a multi-game hits in the National League. He now has 22, and he leads the league in that category. Single his first time up, and this time a booming double over the head of Ellsbury in right center. That pitch was kind of right there. Let's see him pull his arms in so he can get the barrel of the bat to the ball and drive it to the outfield.
Well, they're going to intentionally walk Yadier Molina to load the bases and pitch to Al Craig. Cardinals did this yesterday to get to Brian Roberts. He made them pay. Craig probably thinking along the same lines.
Well, he set up the double play, but Craig leads the Cardinals in runs batted in this month.
Five hits for the Cardinals. 3 of them have come on the first pitch they've seen from Phelps. Last 2 hits also on the first pitch. So the base is loaded. 1 man out. Craig struck out in the second. There's a strike. 405 hitter with the bases loaded. One of those hits left the park. One and one. Just missed outside.
Trying to dot that outside corner. Watch the glove of Brian McCann. He had to reach just a hair for it. Craig really went out there to get that one. He had a good swing, and he was looking to drive that ball to the opposite field. He's had a run batted in 5 of his last 6 games, so he's starting to heat up like a number of these Cardinal hitters. The Cardinals did not hit well in the early going in the season.
The 2-2. Shattered bat. Soft ground ball to Jeter. He has 1 out. His throw pulls Johnson off the bag, and then Johnson drops the ball on the tag. Run scores, 2-0 Cardinals. Bases remain loaded. Well, Jeter made an error on a throw yesterday. That's probably going to be another E6.
We'll take a look. First of all, the bat is shattered because of all the pitchers were away. And then David Phelps comes in. Here's another look at the broken bat. Craig looking away once again. Cannot bring the hands in quick enough. The bat is shattered. But this kind of hurt the Yankees. If it hit it harder, it might have been a double play ball. There's the throw off line. Kelly Johnson with the tag. The ball comes out of the glove. And all hands are going to be safe, and the Cardinals have another run.
Wow, they're going to give the error to Johnson. They're saying he made the catch, he just dropped it. Now, if you want to make a case for Johnson, the throw pulled him off the bag.
Yeah. But the feeling is he caught the ball. If he holds on to it, the tag has made the runners out.
Yep. That's their thinking on that.
Look, yeah, wow.
Johnny Peralta rips it foul as Matt Adams had to get down.
Low bridge over there at third. Adams and Oquendo. Low bridging.
Oh, the umpire twitched a bit. Phelps wanted that one. Check the twitch on Gabe Morales. Oh, no.
Would he call it low? I don't think so. And it did have the corner. It was a neat little cutter or slider to the corner. A front door slider.
Two 2-0 Cardinals. Yankees trying to stop it right here. Bases loaded and one out. The 1-2. Chopped slowly to Roberts and under his glove and into right center field. 2 runs will score as Phelps' defense has deserted him. An E3 and an E4, and it's 4-0 Cardinals. Kenny, I think he was thinking tag and throw.
Yeah,
and never looked the ball into his glove.
Yeah, first of all, you got to catch the ball. And right underneath the glove, it looked like he was going to come up, try and make the tag. Ball eludes him. All hands will be safe. You can see Craig holding up. He didn't want to be tagged, but he can move on down to second. And Larry Rothschild out just to try and settle down David Phelps.
Now you see 4 runs up on the board, but let's put this into perspective. This inning started with a base hit that should have been an out if the shortstop was where he should be, but the Yankees shift a lot and they take some hits away. That one they end up getting burned on. Then the error by Johnson and the error by Roberts. So the 4 runs, it seems like a lot, but he really shouldn't have any right now. But he's got to collect himself and not let it get out of hand.
You know, I think going back to Carpenter leading off, you got to go with the hitter too. He's not Matt Adams looking to pull the ball. He's a hitter that had 199 hits last year. I bet you some of them looked to the opposite field.
You would think. Pitch is low to John Jay. White Sox did it to him a couple of times as well, just taking the ball, easily grounding it the other way. But I'm sure the Yankees aren't doing this blindly. They probably have charts that show, hey, we're supposed to shift. Line drive right at Johnson for the second out.
Tell you what, John Jay's hit the ball hard twice. Once off the foot of David Phelps for a 1-5-3, and now he lines out to first, and is only 2 times up yesterday. He had hits. Kelly Johnson makes the play. That's the only one he had.
Well, here's Lance Lynn, the 9th Cardinal to come to the plate.
Outfield playing very shallow for the pitcher. Now, National League pitchers take batting practice every day at home. They work on their bunting. They help themselves in ball games by moving runners along with sacrifice bunts, but they also hit. So they're more adept with the bat in their hands than American League pitchers, who don't spend nearly as much time taking batting practice.
And Lynn down on strikes. What an inning. 4 runs on 3 hits, 2 huge errors, and 2 men left. 4-0 Cardinals.
Becoming
The Toyota Time Sales event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. Stan the Man won 3 MVP awards, 2 as an outfielder and 1 as a first baseman. What 3 other players won MVPs in 2 different positions?
Well, I know 1, maybe 2.
Okay.
And that is just outside of the new Busch Stadium, the statue of Stan the Man, who passed away last year, Stan Musial. He got the nickname the Man in Brooklyn, playing the Dodgers, because when he'd come up to hit, the Dodger fans would say, "Here comes that man again." And let's see, 17 times in his career he hit over 300. Wow.
Pretty amazing.
Yep, great hitter. 7 batting titles in the National League.
Boy, was he beloved here in St. Louis.
Oh, yes.
Jeter swings and misses as Lance Lynn has a 4-0 lead. Is that video or is that he's taking a picture?
It's the video. Huh?
It's a picture. Count 0-2. Four, 5-0, 0-1-2. Both errors in the third. Derek grounded to short in the first inning. First All-Star voting results came out. Derek is leading at shortstop in the American League. Mike Trout has the most votes. Center fielder for the Angels. Jacoby Ellsbury, I believe, is third in the voting for the outfielders.
These are the early precincts that are in, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's not near final yet.
Haven't heard from Ohio or Florida yet.
No.
The 2-2. 3-2 to Jeter. And Jeter walks. Starting up the fourth inning.
First walk allowed by Lance Lynn, and as Jeter goes down to first base, he's going to be greeted by first base coach Mick Kelleher. There's Mick right there, and this is kind of a reunion for Mick. Now the Cardinals had the reunion of their '64 World Series team yesterday. Mick Kelleher was actually drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals back in 1969 in the third round, and there he was. He got to the big leagues in 1972, and he got his first hit on September 4th. Of 1972 over at the old Busch Stadium, which was across the street.
That one is chopped to second, and Wong has to beat Ellsbury to the bag as Jeter moves to second. So Adams reigns too far to the right, and Wong turned it into an out.
Hey, 4 unassisted at first base. You don't see that very often, as Wong had to hustle to beat Ellsbury, who has excellent speed. Here's Adams taking himself out of the play. Wong only had the one option. Here's the ground ball to the right side. Adams can't get to it, and Wong decides, well, I won't rely on the pitcher. I'll take it by myself. Jeter moves down to second. So to finish off the Mick Kelleher story, he has not been to St. Louis in 28 years.
Wow.
So he and his wife Renee is with him in town, so they're greeting old friends from way back when. And that game that he got a hit in, his first major league hit was the second game of a doubleheader against the Montreal Expos, and I was playing in the doubleheader. I don't remember his hit.
2-0 to McCann. 3-0. Solarte is on deck. There's a strike to McCann. 3-1.
Well, a chance for the Yankees to come right back at the Cardinals here with a runner in scoring position.
And another walk. Last thing you want to do, you get 4 runs, you walk 2 batters in the next half inning, and that's what Lynn has done. So the Yankees have to capitalize now. First and second, 1 out. Here is Solarte. Jumped on the first pitch in the second inning, tapped it back to the mound.
Solarte went 0 for 4 in yesterday's game, but Michael, you probably agree with me. He had one of the bigger plays in the game where he laid down the sacrifice bunt in the 12th inning, kind of set up the Yankees' run scoring opportunities, which they cashed in.
Line the other way, foul.
So I asked Joe Girardi about it in the clubhouse, and I said, did you know that's Solarte's first bunt, sacrifice bunt? And Joe said, yeah, his first one at the big leagues. I'm sure he's done it before.
Yep.
Which was a good point. And one thing Solarte has done, I think he's done just about everything the Yankees have asked him to do. That's how he made the team in spring training.
What he's also done is really hit well with runners in scoring position. A .350 batting average, 2 home runs and 21 ribbies.
He is tied with Mark Teixeira for the team lead in runs batted in.
1-2. Grounded to Wong. He goes to second, one. On to first. It's a double play. 4-6-3, a double play. No runs, no hits, no errors. And because of the DP, just one man left on base. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning in St. Louis. And it's 4-0 Cards. The Toyota Time Sales Event is going on now. Toyota Let's Go places. Stan Musial won 3 MVP awards, 2 as an outfielder, 1 as a first baseman. What 3 other players won MVPs at 2 different positions, Kenny? I still only know 2. Robin Yount and Alex Rodriguez. And I don't know the third. Let's see. And Hank Greenberg. Oh. All right. Good job, Kenny. Yeah. Well, 2 or 3. What did Meatloaf say? It ain't bad. Yeah. It's also 667. That'll win you an MVP. Well, we go to the bottom of the 4th. David Phelps down 4-0. And Matt Carpenter will lead off the inning. And the Yankees again shift for Carpenter after he hit a single through that vacated hole. Let's see if he does it again. Now, a lot of people say, well, the shift works if you pitch to the shift. But the charts and the analytics they have say that no matter where you throw the pitch, Matt Carpenter is going to hit a ground ball to the right side. So it's not a point of keeping the ball inside. They feel that he's the type of player that always hits the ball on the ground to the right side, but he went against that trend in the 3rd inning and started the rally. Matt Carpenter is a career .306 hitter, as I'm looking it up in the book here, which leads me to believe he hits the ball to all fields. He's capable of doing it. These are outfield hits. And they play him fairly straight away in the outfield because of that trend. The 1-2. As we move along here in the bottom of the 4th, you'll also see the out-of-town scoreboard on the bottom of your screen. It's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Here's another point on Matt Carpenter. He came into tonight hitting .276. Last year he hit .318. Once you hit 300, you always want to hit 300. So if somebody's giving you hits, especially leading off innings, he's going to take them. That one is drilled deep to right field. Fair ball, it's gone. It is foul. Now, one thing we notice here, Kenny, with 2 strikes, Jeter does move to shortstop. See, with the shift with the 3 players on the right, Jeter has to be closer to third in case of the bunt. So now with 2 strikes, he's going to play him at the normal shortstop. Strike 3. Carpenter down looking.
One of the best pitches of the night for David Phelps. Right over the outside corner. Brian McCann will straighten up, throw the ball over to Derek Jeter. And he'll sling it around the diamond. And it's Gabe Morales who got questioning from Matt Carpenter.
Here's Colton Wong. He will always have on his resume that they got picked off at first base to end a World Series game. But the Cardinals still made moves and traded David Freese and moved Carpenter to the third. That's how much they thought of Colton Wong.
You know, if you saw the start of the double play that last inning, and that was an excellent play by Wong to get the double play started. Went to his left and quickly got rid of the ball to second to Peralta. Also, yesterday he got thrown out stealing. Speaking of Wong, that's the first time he's ever been thrown out stealing in the big leagues. McCann got him at third. He'd been 10 for 10 up to that point. Number 1 pick.
And if you remember, after that World Series game, he was just devastated.
Yeah, you know, especially as a young player.
Right.
Yeah.
And the 3-2 to Wong. Popped up behind the plate. And McCann puts it away. Let's take a look at what Wong had to deal with all winter.
There's Mike Napoli at first base for the Red Sox. And Koji Uehara. And you can see Napoli knew he had him. And that was it, folks. Red Sox won it all.
Wow. Not on that play, but one step closer. Here's Matt Holliday. And a strike from Phelps. Ground ball up the middle, a base hit.
Well, Phelps has already taken a ball off the foot tonight, and why don't you reach out with a bare hand? You're not? Nope. Good idea to bring it back. Ball hit hard through the middle. Holiday's second hit of the night. Man.
And that hit the base runner so he is out. It looked as if Roberts would have made that play. He was on the outfield grass, probably would have fielded that, but an odd end to this inning. He got hit right there, so he is out. I believe the putout goes to Roberts. No, first baseman. So it goes to Kelly, unassisted 3. We go to the 5th. Which of these players do you think is the Yankees' best defensive first baseman? Is it A, Jason Giambi, B, Tino Martinez, C, Don Mattingly, we can stop right there, and D, Mark Teixeira? Text A, B, C, or D to 70377 or go to my9nj.com. Find out the results later in the game wrap-up. It's What's Your Take, brought to you by the Jeep Spring in the Summer event going on now. We go to the 5th. By the way, Adams gets a hit, and the putout does indeed go to Johnson. And Soriano wraps one to left field, and it's caught by Holiday.
Now here's a look at the play, and the scoring goes, Adams gets a hit, so he's now 3 for 3. He's happy. Holiday is hit by the ball. And the scoring on the play, the putout goes to Kelly Johnson because the official scorer feels he was the fielder that was closest to Holiday when he was hit by the ball. So that's why Kelly Johnson gets the putout.
And Roberts hits one to left center field. That is going to get in there for a base hit, and it's going to go to the wall. Roberts has himself a double with one out here in the 5th. Yankees trying to get back in this game. They are down 4-0. On the scoreboard, that's brought to you by your Tri-State BMW Centers. Visit us at tristatebmw.com. BMW, we only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
Roberts with his 6th double of the year.
Kelly Johnson takes a strike. Johnson grounded to second. That was in the 3rd. Nice block by Molina. Chopped slowly toward first. Adams fields. Beats Johnson to the bag for the second out. Roberts moves to third.
Yesterday was a day game here in St. Louis, and tonight, you know, to me, this stadium looks even more beautiful. When we look from our vantage point, you look out and you see all this, everything's all lit up, and just wow, this is really a beautiful place.
Well, Joe Girardi's going to let David Phelps hit. He's down 4-0. Phelps has never had a big league hit, not that many at bats. I believe he's 0 for 5. Runner at third. Yankees first runner at third base.
This might be a byproduct of 5 pitchers out of the bullpen yesterday for the Yankees.
I think you're right. Can't afford to try to get 15 outs out of the pen today.
Good swing.
Well, Phelps has a chance to help himself though right now. Popped up. Adams back, stumbles, called off by Wong, who makes the play to end the inning. Wong flashing some leather today. Adams didn't really have a chance, got out of the way, and Wong makes a sliding catch in the webbing of the glove for the final out of the inning. So the Yankees strand one. We're halfway through. 4-0 Cards. Baseball on My 9 is brought to you in part by your local Lexus dealer. By McDonald's. This summer at McDonald's, come in for the kid-approved $2.99 Happy Meal. Offer only at participating McDonald's. And by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know.
Oh, McDonald's, huh? If you go back and look out in left field, I hope Carlos Beltran is watching this. You see Big Mac land out there?
Yep.
Carlos Beltran actually hit one up there, 454 feet. He smoked it.
Now that became Big Mac land because of Mark McGwire hitting home runs up there. And then McDonald's sponsored it, so it remains Big Mac land, although
it was
McGuire's not here.
He did that in the other stadium. That's Big Mac.
Now this opened in 2006. Was McGwire still here? Oh, he was done, right?
He was done.
BMW scoreboard 4-0 Cardinals, and that's the spot in the old stadium where he used to hit a lot of his home runs.
That's exactly right.
Yadier Molina takes outside. Swing and a miss. So Phelps at 88 pitches. Grounded to short. Jeter. One down. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit Yankees.com for details.
Now, yesterday, we didn't mention it, but I think we should. Yankee minor leaguer Mike Ford had a big day for Charleston.
He did.
Hit 4 home runs in a ball game. So congratulations to Mike Ford, who's a New Jersey native. I think he's from Bellevue, New Jersey.
So we could kind of jumble the words, and yes, Ford has driven one lately.
Yeah, I had a better idea, didn't he?
Also, highly touted catcher Gary Sanchez, who's with the Trenton Thunder. Second 4-hit game of the series that they're presently playing against the Flying Squirrels. He's 9 for 15 in the series.
The who?
Flying Squirrels.
Well, they're Richmond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reading Phillies.
Yeah. The Richmond Flying Squirrels. One of my buddies is actually the pitching coach of that team.
Who is it?
Ross Grimsley, left-handed pitcher. That is an affiliate of the San Francisco Giants. So he hasn't figured out a way to get Sanchez out, huh?
Guess not. There's a foul ball, just foul.
Look at the tail end of this one. You can see the ball slicing, and Larry Vanover had a good look at it. You can see Vanover was not moving. He was stopped, planted. Because if you're moving and running, sometimes you get a distorted view because your eyes are bouncing as you run. So umpires stop and then take a look, and Vanover got the call right. It was foul. Yeah, Mike Ford is from Bellevue, New Jersey.
By the way, Trenton is playing the Reading Phillies tonight, so the Flying Squirrels last night. Also want to note that a former #1 draft pick of the Yankees who didn't have a great season last year, Dante Bichette Jr. was Florida State League Player of the Week for the Tampa Yankees. 357, 3 home runs, and 13 ribbies over his last 8 games. Two count on Craig. He's 0 for 2 in this game. Phelps steals inside. 3-2. All right, Rothschild knows that his pitcher's closing in on 100. Here's 96. Foul back. Now that count is obviously the 4 for the intentional walk that they had for Molina in the 3rd. Time is called.
Certain rhythm to every pitch, and Craig thought that Phelps took a little too long, and he steps out to regroup.
High drive, right field. Soriano back, track, wall, leaps. Gone, a home run. He just missed it. And Alan Craig hits his 5th home run of the year, make it 5-0 St. Louis.
Well, you saw the reaction of Alfonso Soriano. He was kind of upset, and we'll show you why. Alan Craig was getting hot. There's Soriano reaching up off of his glove and then over the fence for a home run. And that's why he was so upset when he came back to earth.
Here's Johnny Peralta. Fouls it away.
A pitch that was up, driven well to the opposite field, and Phelps looking. And he can't believe it. It's out. Here's another look at Soriano. Good effort, but off the glove and over the wall.
The 0-1. Long run for Soriano. In foul territory, he'll make the play for the second out. Uncharted territory for Phelps. His first home run allowed in 35 innings pitched. John Jay grounds one to first. Johnson flips to Phelps, and that will do it here in the 5th. 1 run on 1 hit. No errors and nobody left. Alan Craig goes yard just off the glove of Soriano as we go to the 6th. City health inspector who's about to cash in on a $1 million lawsuit. Then they take on a crook with drug and anger management issues who loves to knock off jewelry stores. It would be a crime to miss 2 full hours of Law and Order. Criminal Intent, tomorrow night at 8 here on My 9. They are also going to investigate, again, the wrong base. Tomorrow's base on the field tonight. We go to the 6th inning. Yankees are down 5-0. Brett Gardner is 0 for 2. He'll lead off against Lance Lynn. Yankees have just 2 hits. A couple of doubles, one by McCann and one by Brian Roberts.
Well, we told you at the outset that Lance Lynn has been particularly tough in this ballpark. 20-8 in his career.
There's a base hit in the center field for Brett Gardner. So a leadoff single here in the 6th inning for the Yankee left fielder. And that'll bring up the Yankee shortstop and captain Derek Jeter. Jeter tonight grounded to short and walked.
We saw the Cardinal bullpen yesterday, at least some of their pitchers out there, and they look like their bullpen has pitchers that throw as hard or harder than the starters. Everybody's around 95 miles an hour.
That one's tapped back to Lynn. Bobbles fires to first, gets Jeter as Gardner advances to second.
He looked at second and decided against it. Gardner got off to a good jump there. Changed his mind, a little double dribble, and still gets Jeter at first base. Got the shore out. Couldn't get the ball cleanly out of the glove to make the throw, which would have been a close play at second. And then he only had one play after he dropped it.
Here's Ellsbury, 0 for 2. Count 1-0. Two 2-0 to Ellsbury, grounded to short in the first, and then grounded out to Wong in the fourth. Wong beat him to the bag after Adams had crossed over too much to the right. Couldn't get back to first.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of Wong in the past, but it's still early in his career as well. But he's solid defensively. Really quick around second base. Good hand, strong arm. And you can see why the Cardinals thought enough of him to make him a #1 pick.
So 3-0 on Ellsbury.
Yankees need base runners. Ellsbury will be taken.
Shows bunt, takes inside, so taking all the way. Yankees have runners on first and second now. For the cleanup batter, Brian McCann. $5-0 Cardinals. Yankees trying to get back in this. McCann doubled and walked. Fouled off.
Not the shift that the Cardinals had earlier when McCann was up. And of course, Gardner's at second and Ellsbury at first. Yankees have tremendous speed on the bases. You can see Johnny Peralta almost about straight away behind second base. A little bit of shade, a step or two towards the left field side.
Rip foul, skips into the stands. And Molina goes out and tosses with Lynn.
I think it's a reminder that he's got the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Quality pitches, maybe try and get McCann to chase something out of the zone. Yeah, wouldn't chase that one, not close enough to the strike zone. Maybe he didn't like the way McCann hit the pitch foul. He really drilled it.
Missed outside, 2-2. Adam Wainwright, who started the Sunday night game, was just named co-player of the week in the National League with Josh Beckett. So you know you've had a good week when you share honors with a guy who actually pitched a no-hitter.
Now, I know you all were in transit from Chicago. I got to watch Wainwright pitch. He's awesome.
Yep.
And he is definitely the leader of the pack.
High fly ball. Shallow right coming on Craig. He'll make the play for the second out.
And another thing you'll like about him, Michael, he doesn't mess around. He's working really fast. We mentioned that Lance Lynn, 38 wins since 2012. Adam Wainwright, the only pitcher in the National League more wins than him. He has 41 since 2012. So the Cardinals with a good 1-2 punch. You throw Michael Wacha in there, Shelby Miller, 1-2-3-4 punch. Jamie Garcia, another one.
Solarte takes inside. Yankees tonight 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Yesterday they were 4 for 9. Great speed on the bases. Gardner at second, Ellsbury at first. And that one's popped up to Carpenter. He'll put it away, and that threat goes by the boards. No runs a hit, no errors, and 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It's 5-0 Cards. Twitter using the hashtag #My9Yankees, and your words can end up on the big screen in Times Square. Follow us on Twitter at My9NJ or like us on Facebook at My9TV, and you can see your post in lights at the crossroads of the world. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning at Busch Stadium. It's 5-0 Cardinals, and as we move along, we'll take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Nissan. Get to your local Nissan store for the ride of your life and save big today. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Blue Jays win again, 9-6 over Tampa Bay. And Edwin Encarnacion, his 14th home run of the month.
Wow. This is not the time of the season you want to be playing the Toronto Blue Jays. They've won 8 straight.
Here's the 0-1 to Lynn. Outside corner, 0-2. 102 pitches for Phelps. His career high is 115. The 0-2. Strike 3. Lynn down looking. Aceves, who got the win yesterday, is up in the bullpen.
Now here's a subtlety in the National League. You saw Lynn just strike out. Leadoff hitters in the National League, after pitchers making out, they take their sweet time getting up to the plate. They want to give the pitcher a chance to sit down, relax a little bit. And that's one of the subtleties of being a leadoff hitter in the National League.
Carpenter takes a strike. Shift is on for him. One and one. So this is a new season high now for Phelps. And again, his career high is 115. Drops a pitch in there for a strike. 1-2.
Yeah, nice changeup. That all Carpenter could do was look at it. He couldn't hammer it.
Just missed outside. Fly ball left field. Gardner toward the seats, makes the play in fair territory for the second out. Well, the Blue Jays winning, as Kenny said, the 8th straight time. These are the standings as they are right now. Yankees 2.5 back, the Orioles 3, Rays 8, and the Red Sox, who are actually leading the Atlanta Braves right now, they're 8.5 out. Orioles up, or should I say the Red Sox up 6-3, top of the 8th. Chop to first. Wong is out. That'll do it. A 1-2-3 inning here in the 6th for David Phelps. We'll go to the 7th. Yankees in-game box score brought to you by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. Just 3 hits for the Yanks. Brett Gardner with a single. Brian McCann with a double. Brian Roberts with a double. Jeter walk and Ellsbury walk. So they have not done much against Lance Lynn. Lynn will face Soriano, Roberts, and Johnson here in the 7th. Soriano is 0 for 2. $5-0 on the scoreboard, brought to you by your Tri-State Kia retailers. To learn more, visit TriStateKiaDealers.com.
Soriano hit the ball well last time up, but it was almost directly to Matt Holliday in left field. And we told you he had good numbers against Lance Lynn. And it's one of the reasons he's in there.
Could not hold up on the pitch up in the zone. 2-1. Fly ball center field. John Jay puts it away for the first out. That's going to bring up Brian Roberts. Roberts has one of the Yankees' 3 hits. He doubled the left center in the 5th. In the 2nd inning, he grounded out to second.
Well, Lance Lynn has actually given up as many walks as hits tonight. And that's why the Yankees have 5 men left on base.
Count 1-1. Just missed outside. 3-1.
Just for curiosity's sake, I'm looking to see when the Yankees play the Blue Jays again, and it's next month at the stadium.
Fly ball center field. Jay makes the play for the 2nd out.
Yeah, it's a 3-game series, June 17th, 18th, and 19th. And the very next week, the Yankees go up to Toronto, so they will see them 6 times within 9 games. Hopefully the Blue Jays will have cooled down a bit. Especially Edwin Encarnacion. What's 14 home runs?
14 home runs.
He's got a good chance to be player of the month.
I think that ties Jose Bautista's team record.
Yeah.
Home runs in a month. Kelly Johnson tips it into the glove of Molina. 0-1. Ichiro Suzuki on deck to pinch hit for David Phelps. Right in on the hands, fouls it off. 0-2.
With Phelps, which is that season high in pitches?
Season high, not career high.
You know, I wonder if Joe Girardi might be thinking double switch if Kelly Johnson makes the last out here.
And I'll put Brandon Ryan at first.
Yeah.
Grounded to first, gobbled up by Adams. And that'll do it here in the 7th. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. Time for the 7th inning stretch. It's 5-0 St. Louis. part by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. Internet, TV, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. 1-855-WANT-TWC. By Delta, keep climbing. And by Nissan, get to your local Nissan store for the ride of your life and save big today. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Alfredo Aceves in for David Phelps. And he deals a strike to Matt Holliday. Brendan Ryan takes over at first base. He'll bat in the 9th hole. Aceves will bat in the 8th hole, vacated by Kelly Johnson. First base umpire Vanover said no, he did not go. Driven deep to left center field. Ellsbury back, track, wall, see ya. Home run for Matt Holliday, 6-0 Cardinals.
Oh, you mentioned this yesterday. Matt Holliday has not found the range very often in the home run department. That's only his 3rd of the year. But he is a legitimate home run hitter. They will tell you he's one of the strongest players in baseball, and he got a hold of this one. And I think he kind of knew it. Over 400 feet. Former National League batting champion when he was with the Colorado Rockies. That was 7 years ago.
6-0 on the Kia scoreboard.
He also drove in 137 runs that year in Colorado.
Holliday and Adams have done the damage today, Kenny. 6 for 6 with a walk.
Yep.
But they finally get Adams. He strikes out looking. The rest of the Cardinals 3 for 22. So the line on Phelps is done. 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, and 3 of them earned. So another strikeout for the Yankee bullpen. Now it's a 193 Yankees lead. The league leaders brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture. Bob's Discount Furniture is the leader in value with Bob's famous Bob-O-Pedic mattress sets. Living rooms and dining rooms. Go online to mybobs.com.
By the way, that home run for Matt Holliday ends a drought of 99 at-bats without a homer. It's 3rd longest of his career. Well, it's been a while since he's hit one for the distance.
You know, Kenny, Aceves is very hard to figure out. There's some days when he's pitching, he takes 30 seconds between pitches. He walks around the mound, and now it looks like he's playing catch with Brian McCann. He can't throw the ball fast enough or quickly enough.
Well, he didn't throw it fast enough to Holliday.
That's true.
Yeah.
And Molina's helping him out. Does not step out of the box. Chop to third. Solarte bobbles. and makes the play. Well, one thing we know about Molina, the Molina brothers are not fast, but he does not run hard to first base on any ground ball. So I guess he's saving himself, and with him, I guess there's an excuse because he's catching every day.
Yeah, and I don't know. It looks like he's running like there might be something wrong.
Or maybe that's just as fast as he can go.
You know, maybe you know, he's been told you're going to do a lot of catching this year on the routine grounders.
Pitch to Craig is up and in.
Now, yesterday was a long day here for the Yankees, but it started out, it was a day game. And the Yankees have really preferred to play in day games this year. They're 13-5 in day games. And over the last 4 years, you want to know what the Yankees' record is? The best in the major leagues by far.
Really?
122 wins and 61 losses in day games over the last 4 years.
Imagine if they were the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, that drought would have been over a long time ago.
Those hands get banged up on a catcher. 1-2.
Yeah, we'll take a look at what Michael's talking about. Foul ball. Ooh, man. We saw Francisco Cervelli last year, and he was on the disabled list for a few months. Taking a foul ball off the bare hand.
Lined into right field, a base hit for Alan Craig. So he's 2 for 4.
Yeah, the Cardinal fans have been waiting for Alan Craig to heat up. He's 2 for 4 tonight with a home run and a single. And those two coming in his last 2 at-bats. He started the night as a .244 hitter. He's a better hitter than that.
On Peralta. Peralta's 1 for 3. He reached on an E4 in the third. And since you can't assume the double play, he did get an RBI in that one. Singled in the second. Fouled out down the right field line in the fifth.
So far, the efforts of the Yankees tonight have been stifled by Lance Lynn. Only 3 hits allowed.
Popped up. Brendan Ryan makes the play, and that will do it. But the Cardinals get a run on the Matt Holliday home run. 2 hits, 1 man left. Let's go to the 8th. 6-0 Cards. Box score brought to you by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. 10 hits in there. Matt Holliday 3 for 3, a home run, 2 runs scored. Adams 3 for 4, double ribby and a run scored. Alan Craig 2 for 4, a home run and 2 ribbies. Johnny Peralta picked up a ribby on that ground ball. And there's your scoring, 6-0. St. Louis. Brendan Ryan leads off. And he fouls one off as the 8th inning is underway. The longest that Lynn's gone this season is 7 innings. Career, he's never gone more than 8 innings. Obviously, doesn't have a complete game. And the longest he's ever gone in his career without allowing a run is 7 1/3 innings. This is a pretty high-quality pitcher.
Well, the Yankees only once tonight have got a runner as far as third base. That was Brian Roberts in the 5th inning before Lynn was able to pick up the 3rd out.
Driven deep to left field, but a foul ball. Really hit that one.
Yeah, he did. Ryan, saying he only got 1 at bat in yesterday's game, and he made the most of it. He got a base hit, drove in a run. That was in the 12th inning when the Yankees scored 3 times to eventually go on to win 6-4.
Two and two. When the Yankees got Brendan Ryan last year, he was days away from being traded to the Cardinals. They also wanted to pick him up. Didn't happen. Yankees got him, and he hits a ground ball in the hole. Backhanded by Peralta. Off balance throw. Not in time. Infield single for Brendan Ryan. Nice play by Peralta getting to it.
Cardinals have been happy with Peralta and what he's been able to do.
Well, the world is changing, and so is your news. Every weeknight, the chase is on across the state for the biggest headlines and most unique stories on Chasing New Jersey. No teleprompters, no anchor desk, just real people chasing real stories. Chasing New Jersey, weeknights at 10 p.m. and tonight after the game on My 9. 103 pitches for Lance Lynn. Top of the lineup, Brett Gardner. He's 1 for 3. Pitch outside, 1-0.
Well, Michael, it seems that magic number 100 pitches always has somebody warming up in the bullpen.
Seth Manis. Fly ball right field. Craig puts it away for the first out. Here's Derek Jeter. Crowd of 45,202 here at Busch. Many in here thinking this is the last time they'll see Derek Jeter, so a standing ovation for the Yankee captain. Line drive, right field, foul ball.
Yep.
12th sellout of the season for the Cardinals, and they have not drawn under 40,000 for any home game this year.
You know, Michael, a couple of weeks ago we did the series in Anaheim, and we were talking about being the face of baseball and how Derek's been that way for, I would say, 15 of his 20 years with the Yankees. The last 15 he's been the face, and we were kind of saying that Mike Trout would be the next face of baseball. And you know, he's got all the attributes, a good player, playing for a pretty good team. But I began to think about it, and this first series I've worked with you, I want to get your idea. I think it has more to do than just the player himself. It has to be the team that you play on. I mean, Derek has played on a lot of championship teams, and I think fans love to associate with a winner. And Jeter has been a winning type baseball player for a long time. And with Trout, the Angels haven't been to the playoffs in a while. And I think you get the casual fans who jump on for the playoffs and the World Series. And that's how you become more or less the face of baseball, by being on a good team, playing the playoffs a lot. And you get the cat. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, if that's the case, it's going to be hard to have a new face of baseball, because I think the Yankees are on a run that it's going to be very difficult to duplicate. How many players are going to play in 6 World Series and their 7 World Series in their career?
Yeah, you're right. And you know what I mean by the casual fans, the fans who, what's going on in the playoffs? Oh, the playoffs are on. So I think it's more than just the player himself. It has a lot to do with the team that you play on and how successful that team is that gets your likeness out to the maximum amount of fans.
Grounded to Wong. He goes a second one on to first. Not in time.
I'll tell you what, that Wong is a magician around second base. That little spin move and throw to Peralta, that's the second time he's done it tonight. He is very, very quick. Turn, accurate throw right there, but Jeter beats the relay down the line. Well, it was close at first, but Wong is something. Yep, Derek was safe.
Clearly, before the ball hit the glove of Adams. He is dynamic around second base, so getting our first extended look at him, and he's pretty special. That's why they traded a hometown guy like David Freese to make room for him. And made a guy who led the major leagues in hits last year change positions for him. Here's Ellsbury, 0 for 2 with a walk. Grounded up the middle and through for a base hit. Jeter will stop at second. Ellsbury picks up his first base hit of the night. And that brings up Brian McCann. Well, does Matheny stay with Lynn?
See Matheny taking a few steps and walking around in the dugout. Not quite yet. 6-run lead.
Well, now Sam Freeman, the left-hander, joins Manis. Jeter off second, Ellsbury off first. 2 men out, 8th inning, 6-0 Cardinals. And McCann fouls it back.
If he was going to bring in Freeman into the game, he would have brought him in right now with McCann at the plate. Gabe Morales.
High fly ball, left center. John Jay moves over, makes the play. And that'll do it for the Yankee threat. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Bios game wrap-up. We'll have a breakdown of tonight's action, plus news and more from the clubhouse. The Verizon Bios game wrap-up tonight on My 9, followed by Chasing New Jersey. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Alfredo Aceves' second inning of relief. He gave up a home run to Matt Holliday in the 7th to make it 6-0. David Phelps started against his boyhood team, the St. Louis Cardinals. Went 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them earned. His defense did not help him that much. New first baseman is Brian McCann. John Ryan Murphy takes over behind the plate. Pitch outside to John Jay. Brendan Ryan has moved in at shortstop for Jeter. Fouled away. Count 1-2.
Well, interestingly enough, Lance Lynn is in the on-deck circle. So it appears they're going to let him try and go 9 innings tonight. Bullpen, there's nobody warming up.
The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Jay down on strikes. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. So Lance Lynn has never pitched a complete game. He's going to get the opportunity tonight as he fouls it back.
He's also getting the opportunity with this at-bat to go for the golden sombrero. He has already struck out 3 times. He's got the hat trick.
Still 2-2.
He's trying to avoid it. Put some pitches. Put some wood on him.
Mike Matheny's probably thinking, just strike out.
Yeah, he doesn't want him to get on base.
Well, he's already done something he's never done in his career. 8 innings of shutout ball.
Savis went to a breaking ball 3-2. I thought that was against the pitchers union to pitch it to another pitcher. Against union rules.
Swing and a miss. 4 strikeouts for Lynn. The 3rd strikeout for Aceves. I don't know if Aceves has been told by the coaches, you've got to be faster on the mound and stop shaking off catchers, but this time he's not shaking off anybody tonight. Here's Carpenter. There's a strike.
He's given up 2 hits, a run, 3 strikeouts in an inning and 2/3.
1-1.
Yeah, he's been Nuno-like.
Hardly moving from the rubber, just waiting to get the sign and the batter to get in the box. The 2-1. Check swing and fouled away.
The only thing that slows him down is the foul ball.
The 2-2. Another foul ball. Popped up. John Ryan Murphy makes the play for the final out. Aceves wants to talk with Gabe Morales. Oh, he's getting the mask. We go to the ninth. Game wrap-up. We'll have a breakdown of tonight's action, plus news and more from the clubhouse. The Verizon Fios game wrap-up tonight on My 9, followed by Chasing New Jersey. Well, Lance Lynn is going to go for his first career complete game. He's pitching a 5-hit shutout as we go to the ninth inning. It'll be Solarte, Soriano, and Roberts. Solarte is 0 for 3. There's a strike. Matheny probably told him, anybody gets on, you're out.
There is somebody warming up. Looks like Sam Freeman, the left-hander.
Ground ball to second. Wong to Adams. One away.
Right fielder, Alfonso Soriano.
Got good acoustics in that bullpen. Ball's really popping. Soriano's 0 for 3 tonight. Carpenter is deep at third and close to the line. Now moves a little bit off the line. Pitch outside. Lynn's career high in pitches, 124. 1-1. He's approaching that. Grounded to short, backhanded by Peralta. Sets. Yankees down to their final out.
That's been a case of too much Lance Lynn for the Yankees tonight. Just 5 hits. Only one Yankees got in as far as third base. If he wins this game, he'll be 21-8 in his home ballpark.
The 1-0 to Roberts. 1-1.
He wins, the Cardinals even up this series, and Mike Matheny has got through a game without using his bullpen, so they'll be fresh for tomorrow. Joe Girardi has only used one pitcher out of the bullpen, so the Yankee pen should be pretty fresh tomorrow too.
The 1-1. 2-1. Now he is now at his career high in pitches, so he'll go over that as he tries to get his first complete game, first shutout. Three and one. Ichiro's on deck. He will pinch hit for Sebas. Fly ball left field. Holiday is there, and that'll do it. The smile says, yeah, that's my first complete game, as he hugs Molina. The Yankees go down in order 1-2-3 here in the ninth, and they lose this one 6-0. Each team with a win in this three-game set. Tomorrow becomes the rubber game. We got a lot of awards to give out. We'll break this one down. Lance Lynn with a complete game shutout. 5 hits allowed to the Yankees. 6-0 Cards.